Good morning, everybody. I am out at sea today, so I thought maybe we would do a quick 10-minute hip stretch for ourselves. This is a great warm-up for your splits, so one thing that you can do if you want is test out your splits before you do this stretch routine, and then come back after we do it and see how your splits are feeling then. So we're going to start seated on the ground. Anyone who's worked with me before knows these lovely 90-90s. So both of my legs are at 90 degrees. Both of my knees are facing the same direction. Just make sure there's lots of space between your front heel and your back knee. You can keep your hands on the floor for support if you'd like, or you can keep them in the air. It adds a little bit of extra core stability needed there. So my heels stay rooted, and I'm switching from side to side, trying to press both of my knees to the ground. Now we're going to add in a fold. So your back shoulder is going to come to your front knee. So if I'm twisting towards my left leg, my right shoulder is reaching. Make sure that space is staying between the two legs. I'm going to do one more on each side. Now, coming into a plank position, we are going to do some twisting mountain climbers. So you can start by pressing back into a downward dog, push those shoulders open, and then step your left leg forward. Keeping that left leg forward, your left elbow is going to reach for the ground, stretch up to the sky, and you're going to press back to downward dog to switch sides. So right side means right elbow, right arm reach. We're going to do this 5 times on each side. This is round 3. This is our last one on each side. All right. So now we're going to go into a specific stretch series, first on the right side, then on the left side. So you're going to start by standing. You're going to have your right leg forward and your left leg back. First, I want you to bend into your front leg, trying to keep that back knee off the ground. If that's way too intense for you, then you can drop that knee to the ground, but ideally, we're going to try to keep that back knee up. When I'm in this position, I'm trying to squeeze my glute on the back side as much as I can. Thinking hips lean forward, shoulders press back. Now, if your hamstrings are tight, you might want to have yoga blocks for this next one. You can put your hands on yoga blocks or on the ground, and we're going to stretch that front leg straight, trying to keep your chest as close to your leg as you can. If you're very flexible, you can flex and point that front foot. Give you a little more intensity there. Now, we're going to drop that back knee. We're going to start actually with both legs at 90 degrees. So it's not really a lunge per se. We're going to tuck that tailbone under, squeeze the back glute, push the hips forward, think shoulders back. This you should feel a little higher on your leg. Now we're going to take that front leg a big step forward, and this time we are going to sink into a lunge. So similar to when we were in the standing position, we're thinking of pushing our hips forward but leaving our shoulders leaned back. We're squeezing that back glute as much as we can to help open up the front of the hip. If this is quite easy for you, you can bring the same arm as the back leg up towards your ear, twist a little bit towards that side, and arch back. Now let's bring both of our hands inside this front leg. I'm going to be twisting. I'm going to try to press the outside of my back hip towards the ground. So I'm going to end up turning away from you. Coming back to center, one hand on either side of that front foot or on those yoga blocks if you need it. Once again, we're going to straighten out that front leg. So flexing and pointing is an option here. Think of stretching your nose towards your toes. We want to see if we can flatten our back out as much as possible. Now, I want you to flex your foot and you're going to drop your toes out to the side. Sometimes this will give you a more intense stretch if you're tighter on the outside of your hamstring. Coming back through the middle with your toes. Now drop them in. Sit back as much as you can. See if it's more intense there for you. Everyone holds their tension in a different spot, so the secret to flexibility is figuring out where you're holding it so you can get rid of it. Good. Coming back to center. We're going to go into a pigeon stretch. So you're going to bring that front leg across your body, stretch that back leg back. We can start up on our hands or on yoga blocks. Again, whatever feels the most comfortable for you. The key to stretching is not trying to go from 0 to 100, but meeting your body where it's at. Then it'll give you permission to keep going. So, good. From here, I want you to walk your hands down to either your forearms, or if that's super comfy, you can go all the way down and drop your chest. Now, it's my right leg that's forward, so I'm going to walk my hands over to the left side. So I'm trying to bring my right shoulder closer to my right foot. Now we can walk those hands the other way. So I'm going to try to get my left shoulder close to my right knee. Good. Coming back through center, we can come on out of this side. We're going to switch and now do the exact same series on our left side. So we're going to start by standing, left leg forward, right leg back. In this first position, again, if you'd like, you can drop that back knee to the ground, but ideally it stays off the floor. So now that it's my right leg back, I'm trying to squeeze my glute on the right side to open up the front of that right hip a little bit more. So we're going to drop our hands to the ground. This is where if you need yoga blocks, you're going to grab those yoga blocks and use those instead. We're going to stretch that front leg straight. We're still trying to reach our nose towards our toes in an effort to flatten out our back. You can think of squeezing the front of that leg to try to loosen up the back. So now I'm going to drop that back knee. We're going to start in that 90-90 position. So it's not really a lunge. Both legs are at 90 degrees. I'm going to actively tuck my tailbone under, squeeze the glute on the right side. Think of pushing the hips forward and the shoulders back. Now we're going to prepare to go into that deeper lunge. So that left leg is now going to take one more step forward. I'm going to push those hips forward, trying to keep that tailbone tucked under, that back glute squeezed. Hips forward, shoulders back. So now it's my right leg that's back, so I can bring my right arm up to my ear, twist to the right side and arch. Now, bringing our hands down either to our yoga blocks or one hand on the ground on either side of that front leg. Let's stretch that front leg straight, pushing our hip bones back. So sometimes it helps to take that front leg and drag it back towards you a little to square up your hips. I'm going to take those front toes, I'm going to flex them, and I'm going to drop them out to the side, but continue to stretch straight forward. That moves the stretch a little further to the outside of the leg or one of the outer hamstrings. Sometimes that's where some secret tension is lying. Again, still pushing my hip bones back and stretching my nose towards my toes. Now we'll take those toes across and drop them inward. Coming forward, we're now going to go into a pigeon on our left side. So that left foot comes across the body, the right leg stretches out behind you. We're going to start upright, so chest lifted, hands on the ground and or on those yoga blocks. Let's walk those hands forward. So we can either go down to our forearms, if that's plenty intense for you. Otherwise, you can keep going and try to drop that chest right down to the ground. Let's walk our left shoulder over towards our right foot. now walking across to bring my right shoulder to my left knee. This one made a huge difference for me in my splits. I have a lot of tension deep in my glutes, so this crossbody stretch is very helpful if that's you as well. I'm realizing I missed one of my favorite stretches when we were in our lunge. So we are going to rewind. Our pigeon is done. Let's just go back up to that lunge position. I'm going to have you go up on your toes. You're going to bring both hands inside of that left leg, and we're going to drop the outside of the right hip to the ground. Can't believe I skipped it. I love this one. This one sometimes gets a nice stretch for me through my side, a little bit through the outside of my hip. Again, it's all I find for me with flexibility about exploration and figuring out where those secret spots are. Oftentimes we want to do front split, so we do straight stretches, and that'll only get us so far. So it's finding all these little secret windows that might be missing for you. All right, last one. We're going to start either in a frog or a tabletop. So frog is knees wide, tabletop is knees just a little closer together. Again, meet your body wherever it's at as far as flexibility. So I am just going to put a little something under my frog knee on one side. I'm going to straighten the other leg out. Okay, both of my hands are a little bit forward of my body, and I want to keep them there. So as you rock back, don't move your hands in with you, because that's you trying to make your arms take the weight instead of your legs take the stretch. So as I sit back on my heel, I'm going to turn the toes of the straight leg to the sky. Sit back a bit. I have loads of tension in there today. Holy moly. And back forward. As I rock forward, my toes touch the ground. So we're just going to do this 5 times. You can take as much time as you need. Again, wherever the tension lies for you, next time you do this series, take the time you need in the parts where you are the tightest. This one's mine. Oh my. Good. 2 more times on this leg. And last one. Good. Now, bring that knee in. I'm going to bring my lovely little towel across. Straighten out the other leg. Same thing. Hands are going to stay forward. I'm going to rock back, toes to the sky. Left side's not as bad as the right. My right side leg's holding tension on the inside of my thigh. Oh, the wind's picking up. It's lovely. Last one. Awesome. Come on out. So I would encourage you now to try going into your front splits, right side and left side, just to explore how much more that may have opened up your hips. Thank you for joining me in the middle of the ocean for this lovely 10-minute stretch. I can't wait to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.